What's going on, YouTube? Got another review here for you. This is of the Emerson CQC12 or HD12. This is actually a CQC12. This is not stock Emerson front titanium frame. This is actually a custom job from Yester 5, as I showed you on one of those preview videos that I posted up. But it's a really good job from Yester 5. And if you guys know from my channel, I had a CQZ HD12 a long time ago that I got a really just a smoking price on it. And that was back before I really knew what I was getting into. And I knew of some of the higher end knives and all that kind of stuff, but I hadn't yet acquired them. So I had the chance to trade my HD12 for a Strider SMF. And so for me, I thought that was going to be a great deal. And I think it was, considering the price that I paid on the HD. But then considering the price that that guy ended up selling it for on eBay, I kind of felt like a chump. But it's all good. The HD12 kind of got me on my Emerson kick, and I still love Emersons. They're such great knives. They're such good hard use knives and all that kind of stuff. So I always wanted to reacquire an HD12 or a CQC12, but the prices are pretty high given that these are discontinued. Ernest Emerson doesn't make these anymore, or if he does, he just releases them in little small spurts and stuff like that. So again, that HD12 ended up selling on eBay for over $600, and I thought that was crazy. And so I didn't think I'd ever get another CQC or HD12. I ended up getting the CQC 13 that has the Bowie knife, a Bowie style blade as well. And this is one of my favorite Emersons. So ergonomic. It just fits the hand, pretty much any hand I imagine. And pretty much the exact same style blade as the CQC12. Obviously this one has the combo edge, serrated edge. And then here's my CQC8 right here. And then my Spyderco Military titanium with black bladed CPM S30V blade. And then of course the Sebenza, which actually is kind of measuring up to these blades actually. I'm actually surprised that it is. I thought it was going to be substantially smaller. But anyway, as I kind of talk about the HD12 or the CQC12, this is a knife that Emerson himself used to carry around a lot. It was considered one of his favorite blades. I know in the SHOT Show 2012, he's being interviewed by Nut and Fancy. He's carrying a Commander now. But this one was modeled after the bayonet knife style on AK-47s. And so it really looks like that fixed blade that's affixed to the gun barrel of those Russian machine guns, and it's really cool. And the way he describes it is kind of like the tank of the Emerson collection. And I think maybe because of the whole just the whole feel that you get when having a frame lock and all that kind of stuff. And I don't want to get into the argument of liner lock versus frame lock, and you can get into that with J Davis 882 or Carter, Juju 1313. They kind of go back and forth on that, and it was pretty fun dialogue just to hear them go back and forth and their reasonings why and all that kind of stuff. And but anyway, this is standard Emerson specs. You got your 0.125 inch blade of 154 cm. You got your thumb disc. You got your wave opening. You got a G10 backspacer. Obviously here you've got the frame lock, which is the most special thing about the CQC12 and the HD7. So it's a CQC7 that has, you know, the frame lock, not conversion. You know, this is stock from Emerson. So he makes these himself. And then again with this custom scale on the CQC 12, you know, where you look at the, say, the 13 here, or any standard CQC Emerson, they all have the titanium lock face or locking liner. And then on the opposite side, on previous generations, it used to be titanium. Current versions, it's some high-grade stainless steel. I did a video back when, you know, kind of questioning if it's stainless steel or titanium, because when I stick a magnet down on here, I just use my angle cube here, you know, it's not magnetic. And this is a 2008 version, so it's not that old. It's not magnetic. So I don't know what the deal is. If I do it on the clip, it's obviously magnetic, you know. So, but on these liners, there's no. And so anyway, I think Jay Davis was talking about how certain high-end stainless steels or something in their properties, it's not magnetic. So I'm not sure about that, but this is a 2011 model, so one of the most recent models. Again, liner's not magnetic at all. So, but anyway, on the CQC 12, where it's got the G10 front scale, it's one piece of G10. There's no liner in those knives at all. So it's one thick piece of G10, or in the HD series or in this custom, you know, it's one slab of titanium. I believe also 0.125 inch handles. So, you know, you're talking about, you know, give or take another 0.01 or 2, you know, in the washer. So you're talking about, if I can do my math right here, maybe 0.4, 0.385 or so, you know, inches in terms of thickness. So that makes for a pretty thin knife, very thin profile of this titanium frame lock. And yeah, it's thinner in profile than, say, the CQC 13 here. If it'll focus, there you go. So you can see, you know, the G10 on the 13's got some extra beveling and stuff like that, so it rides a little bit higher, thicker. So the 12 definitely, you know, in terms of thickness, will not take up very much pocket real estate. And then in terms of, you know, in your hand, I don't know, I mean, thicker handles sometimes are more comfortable, but this one you can definitely get a very good grip on and purchase. Feels like a very high riding thumb ramp here, so it really just kind of cradles your thumb in here as you're gripping it. So any kind of hard cutting or drag cutting and all that kind of stuff really feels like it'll just, you know, lock your hand in and you're not going to go anywhere. You got this front rail or guard here for your index finger, and then back rail here. Inside, you know, inside on these curves, it's just one, you know, very, very mild curve, you know, on the handle. So it just fits your hand really well, you know, whether regular grip or reverse grip, you know, it fits great. Compared to these other, you know, Emersons, you got these cutouts here for your fingers. To be honest, I would say the 13 is, for my hands personally, is actually much more ergonomic. It feels great, but that doesn't mean that the 12, you know, feels bad. It is kind of it is a little bit wider here, kind of thicker. So, but at the same time, very, very comfortable. You know, the CQC 8, my gosh, like I don't know if there's a knife that's, you know, really more comfortable outside of my 13 than the 8. I mean, the 8 is just, I feel like somebody just gripped a thing of clay and then molded it out of this. So these two grips on the 13 and the 8 are, to me, by far the most comfortable grips. You know, the military is a relatively comfortable grip. Kind of, I mean, it's kind of like the 12 here, where it just has a thick middle area. You know, of course, then you have Streamline Sebenza, you know, with just these straight handles and all that kind of stuff. So, Anyway, but other than that, again, everything is pretty much standard Emerson. On the cleaning video that I showed you guys, obviously it's got the hex bolts here, you know, so the screws have the hex heads, hex wrench heads, versus the Phillips on the standard CQCs that you see here. Right, so standard lanyard hole and all that kind of stuff. 3.9-inch blade. CQC weighs in at 4.6 ounces, so this HD is probably going to be around 5 ounces or so. Surprisingly light for, you know, full titanium handles. A lot of knives that you've been seeing on my channel are pretty, you know, they're thick and chunky and they're really comfortable in the hand. But you're talking about, you know, 0.185 inch blade stock, you know, thick amounts, you know, lots of steel and, you know, titanium liners and bolsters and, you know, all kinds of stuff. So it's kind of nice to get another light knife into the collection, and this is one I plan to carry a lot, being that it's already used. This one I got again used. You can see already on the serrations when they sharpened it. I don't know what they're thinking, but they basically sharpened the serrations, so which is fine. I mean, I just sliced through a piece of paper starting from the serrations, and it's sliced just fine. It's still sharp. You know, it digs into my fingernail and all that kind of stuff. So it slices through paper. This also, just like any other Emerson, would normally be a chisel secondary grind, but this one, it looks like they started to sharpen on here as well, so which is fine to me. I think I plan to sharpen it, and you know, down the road when it gets dull, and I may just continue this grind here. I don't know. We'll see what happens here. There's not really much of a bevel here. I don't know if they just, you know, just tried to sharpen it a little bit. Obviously here the bevel is pretty high, so I think they came in relatively shallow and then maybe tried to add a secondary bevel here on the chisel side. So again, I mean, that's totally fine. This is going to be a user, this is going to be a beater. For the price that I got it at, man, it's it doesn't matter. Like I could just. Anyway, I got this at a ridiculous, like the most ridiculous price that I've ever gotten at any knife. So it was a total steal. So anyway, this 2006 model, I love this knife. It's the one that started me on all Emersons, and really on a lot of high-end knives. You know, after getting the Strider, that's when everything went downhill. So anyway, that's the Emerson HD12 or CQC12. I'm so happy to have one back in my collection, and I don't think I'm ever going to let this one go unless somebody really wants to buy it off me. Anyway, you guys take care. Let me know what your comments are down below, and thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next vid. Take care. Bye.